Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host, Alamdar Khan. And yes, this is all about sports, so you can definitely reach us on our social media handles. Not only that, we'll definitely try to provide you as many information with regards to sports from all across the globe. But, anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. Yes, the most interesting headline for now is India's pacer bowler Jasprit Bumrah actually is ruled out from the Brisbane Test because of an abdominal strain. And in a blow to Trump, which actually happened, yes, golf's PGAs stripped major championships from Trump-owned golf courses. And yes, Celtic versus Hibernian, Neil Lennon and 14 Celtic players isolating after Christopher Jullien tests positive. Yes, dual Olympic champion Esther Ladika wins first World Cup skiing race. Yes, so I was basically talking about India versus Australia. Not to forget that, Bumrah is actually injured, due to which there's this abdominal strain issue that he's facing, and we still are confused about the fourth test that has to be underway between India and Australia. The major reason is still going on with regards to BCCI requesting them to give leverage to the players for the isolation period and the situation that is currently moving on there. But let's hope for the best that there's the fourth test lined up. But yes, Bumrah won't be playing it, but they still have many more people in the squad to play a great match. Anyways, right now with me is ex-cricketer Hassan Raza and Adam Bell, a cricket analyst all the way from New Zealand. Thank you, both of you, for joining us.
Thank you very much. You invited me.
All right, so the basic, I'll start from Hassan Raza. Let's go to Pakistan versus New Zealand. Where did Pakistan go wrong, and why did it end up into that trickle-down effect? Because people really want to know where did we go wrong? Was it the COVID situation? Was it the psychological situation? Was it the fitness situation? So Hassan, with regards to your experience, what do you think about it?
Of course, thank you very much. You asking me about this scenario, New Zealand-Pakistan series. You've seen the bowlers, New Zealand bowlers, they're right on the target. They bowl for very clearly about the batsmen. They're hanging on the bat and they are just follow for the upcoming footwork, bouncy pitches. So it's a very easy, very difficult to get runs over there in New Zealand.
Right. So let's switch towards the New Zealand side. So Adam, you tell me with regards to the bowling, the pitches, obviously New Zealand played such a phenomenal, all the matches in fact, they were so phenomenal, even though we managed to just won or take down only one T20 match. Where do you see Pakistan going wrong? Obviously, it's a very difficult situation for Pakistani batsmen to face those deliveries, and specifically on the pitches like New Zealand.
Yeah, well, the pitches in the two test matches are a little bit different. So the pitch at Mountain was a little bit slower, and I think before the series I always felt that this would be the pitch that would probably suit Pakistan a little bit more. Right. The pitch at Hagley Oval was green on the first day, and obviously we know that Pakistan were put into bat by Kane Williamson, and I think on that day they just couldn't handle the bounce of Kyle Jamieson, and obviously the other New Zealand bowlers were getting a little bit of steam moving off that green deck. It was Kyle Jamieson's bounce that really troubled the Pakistan.
Absolutely, what a phenomenal bowler! You're absolutely right.
A bit of an issue for them, especially the opening batsman, because throughout the two-match series, Pakistan were never really able to get a good opening stand and put the New Zealand bowlers under any pressure.
Right. But, if we look at the idea of Pakistan as a team, so whenever we talk about Pakistan cricket team, so we always believe on the fact that, we still keep that edge of our bowling spells and stuff. Obviously, Kyle Jamieson, a phenomenal bowler, I think amazing performance. And like I said, they were spot on their shorter deliveries. And, if they actually were literally playing magic on the field, right? But even on our bowling side collapsed. That is like one of the things that, something that I was worried about, because I understand the idea of fitness and the COVID situation, and obviously the boys being under quarantine and stuff and not being able to practice, which obviously did affect them, motivation on the motivating factor, on the psychological factor. But why didn't Pakistani bowlers come to that point of being as superb as New Zealand side?
Look, I think with the Pakistan bowling lineup, we've got to remember that they're still a very young side. Even though Mohamed Abbas was in his early 30s, he hasn't reached 100 Test wickets yet. And then, outside that, you've got Naseem Shah, who's a fine talent, and also Shaheen Sharafredi, who I thought bowled quite well during the series.
Right.
So they're, quite an inexperienced, bowling lineup. And you compare that to the New Zealand side and the New Zealand bowling lineup with Wagner, Bolt, and Southey. Those three bowlers have 200 plus Test wickets each, over 200 Test match wickets. And I think the fact is that they know how to use New Zealand pitches as well and conditions, and they've developed a really cohesive unit over the last 4 to 5 years. So I think it's kind of the differences between the two attacks. So I think, for the Pakistan side, it'll be a big learning curve for those young guys bowling in different conditions than what they do at home. In terms of the practice side, but they didn't really get a great chance to practice either. I think they played an internal match and also a match against the New Zealand A side leading into a Test series against a side that had already played a Test series against the West Indies. So I think in that regard, look, they were probably underdone a little bit. But I think also the inexperience of that attack, and I think these guys in a few years' time will have really learned a lot from their time playing in New Zealand.
Right. So, and right now, I'll switch over to Hassan. So, Hassan, I want to ask you one more important thing. The point is Pakistan ready for the upcoming tour of South Africa, which is obviously by the end of January? Because it's a very situation is kind of tricky for us for now. So we really would like to know, on your opinion, with regards to how you see as a test cricketer, that will Pakistan be as solid and ready on their own field as they are supposed to?
Definitely, let's see in Pakistan, when they are playing from Pakistan, they are very huge, difficult to task. They are used to getting these kind of pitches here in Pakistan. So they give them to good tough time as well. Better than in New Zealand, better than Australia, because we've seen 2 test matches over there. Wash, just because of Cam Williamson, he played very remarkably, 238 runs.
Yeah.
And huge runs in the boat in New Zealand side.
Yeah.
So they are the same. They kind of bowl youngsters. They don't have experience. You can see the bowling side in New Zealand.
Yeah.
They bowl as balls. All fielders on the slip and point.
Right.
So they haven't some drop catches as well in Pakistan side. But this is a home series here, and definitely they have a good advantage from the home series in Pakistan. Otherwise, their Pakistani pitch is far difficult, easily to bat here in Pakistan batsmen rather than New Zealand.
Right.
So Misbah-ul-Haq is a team.
But
okay.
let's hope it turns out well. Just a quick question with regards to PCB's Pakistan Cricket Board that actually managed to inquire Misbah about the situation of the trickle-down effect. How do you see that impacting the team for the upcoming South African tour?
Upcoming, very important South African tour, because the Pakistan ranking number 7 in Test cricket. You see a couple of the series in Pakistan and against England and New Zealand.
Right.
So let's see. Very important thing about the Babar Azam, his injury. The couple of 2-3 players in New Zealand, injury like Fakhar Zaman also, and Imam Haq opening batsman as well. So that's why they are very difficult to bat longer runs in New Zealand. But this is very important to Babar Azam to come out to come out to the squad and play from big runs, because he's a key player in Pakistan cricket. He played 3 formats, like T20 and 50 overs game. And technically he's very good sound, so he need to be fit to the play against South Africa. I heard about he doing training start in Kazafi Stadium yesterday. So he have a main player like 5-6 years continuing. He's a very huge platform from young upcoming cricket players and kids as well, and main batsman. Let's see. Hopefully he's coming to the squad.
So basically you're actually being hopeful, which is good. Adam, what do you think the impact of the loss that we actually had to face, the literal humiliation with regards to the performance in New Zealand? How do you see Pakistan facing the South Africans that have actually planned to come visit Pakistan by the end of the month?
Look, I think for the Pakistan side, it's about getting back into home conditions. I think the Pakistan batting lineup will relish being back in pitches which don't have that same kind of bounce and pace and especially that bit of seed movement. So, I think they'll relish being back in those conditions. And I also think it brings back into your trump card, which is Yasir Shah. He's got over 200 Test wickets, and we saw that he didn't play in the second Test match at Hagley Oval because the conditions didn't suit spinners. So, you bring that guy back into the fold. playing at home. The pitch is breaking up a little bit, and obviously with the spin attack that you guys have and the kind of resources that we have, I think it really suits your side getting back into home conditions again. Against the South African side that as well is rebuilding. So I think it's going to be a fantastic series. I think it's a chance for guys like Shan Masood and Abavali to get some form under their belts. I mean, they struggled in New Zealand against the quality bowling lineup with Tim Southee, Trent Bolt and Neil Wagner, but I think they'll enjoy being back in the slower conditions. I think it's a massive series for Pakistan. I'm not sure what they're going to do selection-wise, but I think it'd be nice to see them keep the same guys just for a bit of consistency, just to see how these guys perform at home. Because I think getting back into home conditions again, also
that's the biggest plus that one can really have. You're absolutely right with regards to home. Yeah, sorry, I just all right. So what I'm really trying to believe, and I truly exist, the entire idea of whenever you're playing on your home ground, it's definitely an edge. But that's a great input. Hassan, I would like to ask one more question before we take a break. Would you please still tell me any necessary changes that you think in the upcoming team is required to face the South Africans?
Yeah, definitely. South Africa looking forward Misbah because of last 2 days drafting from PSL as well.
Right.
Some players good performance in domestic cricket. Cardan Trophy going on in last 2 months.
Right.
Hassan Ali should come back. He got 100 run against last final match in first class in Karachi.
Right.
So he might be coming back to the Pakistan team.
Right.
And we need to good experienced players who play for good performance in like in domestic cricket.
Yep.
So also, you've seen especially Babar Azam, he came to the squad. That's a very good sign from the Pakistan batting lineup.
Right.
And Fakhar Zaman also play for recently domestic matches.
Right.
He got in good performance as well. He's a good fielder as well.
Right.
So we've seen the fielding is very important in that time in New Zealand. We dropped
Let's hope the fielding part works out well for us, because that has been really a major issue. But anyways, guys, we'll take a quick break and be back. As soon as we're back, we'll be discussing more of the stuff. And welcome back. So we're basically talking about the whole idea of how Pakistan went down against New Zealand, and we still have Adam with us. So Adam, would you come to tell me the main secret or the core secret why New Zealand has actually proven themselves like the unbeatables up till now, and obviously with regards to their growth lately? Because I still think that they brought themselves up to this higher level. Is it even though I'm sure you guys would definitely have a limited amount of resources, but even then, them coming up to the point of proving themselves. So how do you see this on a positive scale, and what's the secret behind it?
I think there's a few things. Like New Zealand's kept a real consistent core of players over the last 5 or 7 years. Like, look at the New Zealand side, you've got guys like Kane Williamson, BJ Watling, Trent Bolt, Tim Southee, Ross Taylor, Tom Latham. And they've kept that core group of players. And then over time, they've added a few different players, such as Colin de Gromholm's come in. We've got Tom Blundell and Cole Jamieson, who's just taking the world by storm with his start to his career. So New Zealand's been able to keep a nucleus of consistent selection, and I think because of that, they've been able to develop further at national level. And this all kind of started in 2013 when Brendan McCullum first took over the captaincy. And then once Kane Williamson came in, he kind of had his own style. But you see this similar and core group of players that have been with Brendan McCullum's captaincy and through with Kane Williamson.
Right.
All these guys now, they're in their 30s, early 30s, gained experience at international level. In particular, Tim Southee, who's impressed over the last few years. He's got a fantastic home record, and his game's just developed over the last 4 or 5 years. I think his last 92 wickets, I think he's taken an average of 20. So, he's matured. I think there was a stage where he was averaging 40 in Test cricket, but New Zealand selectors decided to keep with this guy. A few matches ago, Henry Nichols, his place wasn't under pressure, but there's a guy called Devon Conway playing in our first class system, where a lot of people think should have or deserves to be in the Black Caps side. And against the West Indies, he got 174 runs, and I think it just shows you that this Black Caps side with the management selectors, they have faith in these guys. That these guys will will come right at international level. And,
Right.
and over time, they've been able to develop experience at international level.
So
I think that's the
we
first
have
one.
with us Adam. We have with us another our analyst Kamran Vasti. I'll quickly have a word with him as well with regards to the downfall of Pakistan cricket team. Kamran, thank you so very much for joining us. Ji.
Thank you very much.
So Kamran, would you tell me the entire situation where Pakistan cricket team actually came down in the trickle-down effect in the series that actually took place in New Zealand, and now we have South Africa planning to visit Pakistan. So how do we see this impacting the team's morale and the whole situation?
Okay, I have a rather different view of this whole thing from the mainstream.
Right.
Personally, for me, I think if we are going through, Pakistanis have been going through this trough since long.
Right.
And the only precedent you get in our history with regards to this is in the 60s.
Right.
If you compare these two periods, you will find out that there was this common link between these two. Pakistan's success has historically been built on having good, effective, aggressive fast bowlers,
Right.
which get you wickets after a bunch of gutsy batsmen have scored just about adequate runs. That's how we used to win historically.
True.
We lost the fast bowlers. Khan Mohammad, Mahmood Hussain, and Fazal Mahmood went out.
Right.
The batting was left completely bare. You didn't have anyone else other than Saeed Ahmed in his decline and Hanif Mohammad, who was basically, shouldering the whole batting himself.
Right.
And Pakistan, I think, did anything over the next over 10, 15 years, apart from a home series win over New Zealand. They even managed to lose to New Zealand back then.
Right.
Now, when we consider when Misbah took over, and that was obviously over 10 years ago, somehow, consciously or subconsciously, that same trend was instigated. Somehow, they mentally accepted that because all teams get lose overseas anyway, it doesn't matter if we lose. What
Right.
we need to do is that we make sure we win at the adopted home ground, the UAE.
Right. Right.
So they started by banking, their chances on winning through after on decent batting lineup on slow turners. Those batsmen would score runs, and the spinners would strangle the opposition out.
Right.
However, I think personally, what I saw over there was apart from the problems that I had with this approach, that we still managed to lose once against Sri Lanka.
Right.
We almost lost a test match to England to a very weak English side under Alistair Cook. We were hammered by New Zealand. We have now lost our last 7 tests out of 8 against New Zealand. This
Right.
has doubled their number of wins.
Right.
We had 7 wins in the first 50 years, and now we have lost the last 7. They have doubled that over the last 6 years.
Right.
They managed to lose even against the West Indies.
Right.
Apart from the series losses against New Zealand and Sri Lanka, we managed to lose even against the West Indies, and that was under Misbah. So that thing was continuing, and when Pakistan went to New Zealand, it was with a very raw pace attack.
Right.
Shaheen Afridi, who's very gifted, very talented, but should have been used carefully. And as a strike bowler, he was actually doing your stop bowling.
Right.
So, and batsman, this was about the bowling, the fast bowling.
Right.
With spinners, we have the case of Yasir Shah. Yasir Shah, unfortunately, I don't know how we go about that, but what we have seen in his 2 visits to Australia, that he was being used to contain the left-handers by bowling leg spinners outside the leg stump.
Right.
We had Misbah as captain in the first series and as the head coach in the second one.
Right.
So, and it was apparently based on the same philosophy of using a leg spinner as a containing bowler in Australia, which is pointless. So this is with the bowling. With batting, for example, there has been no continuity as such. Right now, if I mention, for example, the case of Asad Shafiq, everyone will jump to my throat.
Right.
But the problem with Asad Shafiq, he has been probably Pakistan's best number 6 in our history for over, he has played around 60, 70 matches.
Right.
And if you check his record, he has been exceptional at number 6. Instead, when Yunus and Misbah go out, we expect him to step up in his mid-30s and become a number 4 number. It's not going to happen.
Right.
You have a secure position, you don't alter that.
Right.
The other example is Now, Shan Masood in his first 15 innings was, after his return, was averaging 52. He had around 800 runs,
Right.
and he scores that 150 in England.
Right.
I don't know what goes on over there,
Right.
but then he loses it completely after that.
True.
You suddenly bring in a very good coach. So
Right.
basically, supposedly your very best batsman as your coach,
Right.
and his batting goes completely off track.
Right.
So my take on this is Pakistani. We went there completely unprepared.
Right.
In addition, we have this. We have a weak team anyway, but we were completely unprepared.
Right.
And New Zealand were just too good in their in their own backyard.
Right. Okay.
I mean,
with
if you
regards
look
to
at
New
the
Zealand,
numbers-
I'll switch over to Adam. I'll just have a quick word with Adam with regards to India versus Australia. So, Adam, how do you see it going? Because obviously there was a major upset with regards to India, but eventually they managed to make a comeback by drawing the third test. What about the fourth test? How do you see it happening? It's still under the process of there's a discussion between BCCI and the Australian government. So how do you see it? I'm sure if it happens, it would be an amazing test. What do you think about that?
Well, I just heard news that Bumrah and Bahari won't be playing in the fourth test, so that's a massive blow to India. But throughout the whole series, they've been surprising us because they've had guys falling over and being injured in every single test match. And then I guess we've got to remember that Kohli is at home at the moment. Look, it's going to be really tough for India. Australia haven't lost at the Gabba since 1987, so I think the Australian fast bowlers will really enjoy bowling on a pitch at the Gabba with a bit more bounce and pace than the one that was in Sydney. So look, I can't see Australia losing this match. I think India, as I said, they put up a great fight during the series and during the third test in Sydney and winning the second test in Melbourne. But look, I think Gabba is probably just a bridge too far at this stage for India.
Right, right. Let's hope for the best for India versus Australia, because we're looking forward for the fourth test anyways. Once again, thank you for being on the show, Adam, and thank you, Kamran, for being on the show with your amazing point of views. Yes, so that was basically all about cricket, but now let's switch over to the idea of golf. Yes, PGA. So PGA basically stripped off all the golf courses and major championships for Trump-owned courses. Yes, that's an interesting news. Why? Because of the recent situation in the capital that actually happened in the United States of America, and obviously it brought it to the situation that they had to literally, the Professional Golfer Association had to literally strip off those specific Trump-owned courses. And let's not forget that this truly happened back in 2015 when he actually said these different things about racial stuff with regards to the Mexicans and stuff. So obviously it's more like a deja vu right now that it actually happened, and I hope he learns from it. But not to forget that he actually has also been taken off Twitter. But anyways, that's one of the stories, and let's go on to the football side. Yes, talking about the football side, Celtics versus Hibernian. Yes, the match actually ended up being in a draw, where Celtics actually were missing 13 players because of the fact that they tested positive for COVID. But yet again, the score ended up being 1-1. This was one of the news with regards to sports. And switching over to an interesting news of Esther Ledika, which is the dual Olympic champion with regards to the skiing. Yes, she actually stunned the world with gold medals in 2 different sports recently at the Winter Olympics, but now she's also clinched the World Cup ski racing title, which is awesome, and she's a 24-year-old snowboarder from Czech Republic. But yes, the point is these are still the amazing things happening with regards to the sports world out there. But anyways, this was the major news with regards to all kinds of sports as discussed earlier. I'm definitely looking forward on catching up with you guys very soon. If you guys want to reach us, you can definitely reach us on our social media handles, which is @Indus News Sports. Till then, take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.